The coming of the Civil War posed a dilemma. It was a curveball for Edwin Gray Lee, John Yates Beall, and to a lesser degree, Daniel Bettinger Lucas, all the sons of fine Virginia families and all residents of Jefferson County. Edwin Gray Lee, the possessor of that almost holy name, found that his weak lungs kept him from keeping up with the marathon marches of General Jackson's men. And by 1863, he was denied a command in an Alabama unit because, well, he wasn't an Alabama. Of course, Daniel Bettinger Lucas had his future resolved. Since he was crippled and an excellent lawyer, he just had to sit at his desk in Richmond and make money. But the Civil War posed a great dilemma for the serious and religious John Yates Beall, who, by the way, was a possessor of great wealth. Daniel wrote of his lifelong friend, John Bell, "Everything in his circumstances made him deprecate war. But when he felt Virginia honor was at stake, there could be no hesitation as to his duty." But the problem there again, he wasn't healthy. During a skirmish in the fall of 1861 near Harper's Ferry, John Bell received a glancing bullet wound that broke 4 ribs, and one of the ribs punctured a lung. And he too, just like his friend Edwin Gray Lee, could no longer keep up with the grueling marches of General Jackson. So, it was an afternoon in late February 1863. Jobless and married, Edwin Lee was sitting in Daniel Bettinger Lucas's law office in Richmond, wondering out loud how he was going to pay his rent and support his wife. Perhaps they were conjecturing Edwin could practice law with Daniel. Then at that moment, in burst who but John Yates Beall, their old friend, fresh from a trip to Iowa and Canada and brimming with ideas for war heroics. These ideas dazzled Edwin, but they wearily reminded Daniel of John's law school days and his former inattention to detail. In effect, Bell told his old comrades that he was going to be a privateer just as soon as he got some men, and he was going to capture commercial Union steamers in the Chesapeake Bay and split the booty with the Confederacy. Interesting thought there, since Bell was no seaman. In fact, when he recruited his supporters, all of them were cavalrymen and jokingly called the Horse Marines. But nevertheless, at the moment, Edwin's eyes lit up and he saw an answer to his joblessness. Edwin used his premium political connections to get a meeting for John Yates Beall with Jefferson Davis, who subsequently passed him on to the Secretary of Navy, Stephen R. Mallory, and they supported, at least in part, his plans. Edwin decided to join John Yates Beall in his schemes. And he wrote Sue, his wife, "I think I must make some money by this business, and perhaps will make largely. I have been pushing up my arrangements and hope to be ready to leave here on Monday next at the latest to go on this expedition." But by August of the same year, Edwin Lee knew better and was safely out of harm's way. By that time, Bell and his men captured, plundered, and set adrift the schooners, the Samuel Pearsall, the Houseman, the Alexander, and, after being fired upon while taking another vessel called the Alliance, Bell's men set that vessel afire and made off with nautical instruments, sperm whale oil, and $10,000 in period money for themselves. But Edwin had already taken himself out of the picture after commanding a mishandled land-to-sea operation in which innocent civilians were inadvertently drawn into a conflict and their houses burned. Investigating the incident for the Union was no less than a cousin of Edwin's own father, Admiral Samuel Phillips Lee. And somewhat mysteriously, Edwin Lee resigned from the Confederate Navy, perhaps on information that a crackdown was imminent on their raiding party. Sure enough, after Edwin Lee had left, the Union's tightened up Coast Guard operations captured Beall, putting him in Fort McHenry in manacles.